Good morning. Thank you very much. It's great to see you all. It really is fantastic to see this great big crowd here. Judging from the energy and enthusiasm on display last night from you folks, we know we've got our work cut out for us trying to keep up with you today. Thankfully, the BookBaby team and the Rock, Paper, Scissors team worked very hard for the last many months to put this program together this weekend. So I feel very confident that the array of speakers and presenters and all the information you guys are going to be hearing this weekend is going to be a lot for you to take home with you and put to work for your self-publishing careers. For those of you who weren't here yesterday, my name is Andre Kalahana. If you recognize that name, I'd be happy to hear it. I'm the editor and the manager of the BookBaby blog. And it's a treat for me because I'm getting to meet a lot of the contributors to our blog who are also speaking and presenting today and this weekend. So that's a lot of what this weekend's going to be for you guys, networking and getting to meet some of the people who occupy the space in the self-publishing industry, each other included. So really use this time to be able to meet your neighbors and get to know some of the folks who are here presenting too, because there's a lot of information you're going to be able to take away from the weekend. So Stephen Spatz mentioned yesterday in his address, this is not about BookBaby this weekend. It's all about empowering you as authors to get on your way to be a success with your careers. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce the president of BookBaby, Stephen Spatz.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It was quite an evening last night, wasn't it? Whew, rockets. We call that research, remember, research. Anyway, I am very proud to be up here to host our first ever, and I do mean first ever, Independent Authors Conference. Certainly not to be the last. And I'm on behalf of my hardworking staff, our hardworking folks at Rock, Paper, Scissors, the Sonesta Hotel, I'm very honored and humbled to be the one to kick off this event. As Andre said, we do have a lot of work to do to make you folks happy and give you lots of information, so we're going to work on it. So, you know us a little bit. Now I want to get to know you. So who are you? Well, you came from all over. 35 states in the U.S. Oh, wait, late breaking news. One from my home state of Oregon. Did the Oregonians arrive? Where are you? Are you here yet? Must have been a long drive on the Oregon Trail. So they'll get here. I know they will. So most of you from the good old USA, but also some visitors from other lands of Sweden, Nigeria, and the land where hockey was invented. Where's our Canadian friends? There they are. Good. Anyway. All right, so that's where you're from, but that's not really who you are. This is who you are. We were surprised and happy to see such a range of amazing people who have done a lot of different books. They're either starting the process. Maybe they haven't written word one. Maybe they've completed and published books. I'm one of those people in that group somewhere. And this tells me we have a very large and growing community. You're part of it. There are many other people out there. And now I want to introduce you to another important part of that community, and these are our speakers. We really handpicked the best people who are our friends and allies in the industry. You've come to a place where you're going to hear from the best and the brightest. If you could have chosen one conference to come to, you've picked the right one. These folks are going to give you really essential information about the art, the science, the joys, the pains of self-publishing. I also want to thank our sponsors who lined up for our cause. Again, we have a lot of great allies in this industry, and these folks are an important part of that. So we thank you. We thank them for their presence, and I encourage you to have a chance to give them a chat. All right, so now on to the theme of my short little talk this morning is this. You've come to the right place, and I'll tell you why, I'll tell you how, and it involves more than just the Sonesta Hotel. We'll start here in our city of brotherly love. We in the self-publishing world, we talk about the last 10 years or so as part of a self-publishing revolution. Well, you want revolution, you come to Philadelphia. And I do Hope you have a chance to visit some museums, visit some shops, get your cheesesteak, go root for the Eagles this weekend. Well, wait, no, we're still going on, but sorry, you can't do that. So anyway, it's a great place to have this conference. The steps from here, Independence Hall, we're the cradle of liberty, about 15 blocks away, I think. I hiked it from here, but Google Maps told us that. So it's a really important place. I bring these documents up because I view self-publishing as more than just the process of making a book or creating an ebook. It's about expression. It's about making a stand, saying, you know what, I got a story to tell. I want to get it out there. You talk about the ultimate in self-publishing. These guys writing these documents, no traditional publisher was going to take that. So yeah, they were able to really do that. So I want to kind of open up our minds about what self-publishing is all about. And also a bit of trivia, I understand on the back of one of those things, there's a map, a secret treasure map, written in invisible ink. So you might want to check that out. I don't know if that's here. All right. We fly the flag of self-publishing. We believe in it. We know it's not the only way to publish. We think it's really an appropriate and a best way for many of you here. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So briefly, I'm just going to mention what I see the obvious advantages of self-publishing are. Many of them you know. You get to the market fast. In the time it would take to find an agent and a publisher and wait on their timeline, you can have 3 or 4 books out there. So make the most of your time. You get all the control. This is your deal. You want a purple cover with dragons, even though it's a mystery thriller? You can do that. Go ahead. Don't advise it, but you can do that. You get to choose your own publishing adventure. If you just want to do ebooks in England, great, you go for it. You're the CEO. You're the plan. You're the contractor. You get to do everything. This does not prohibit you from signing deals with traditional publishers. And at the end of this presentation, I'll tell you a story about someone who did just that through BookBaby. And really what I find is very, very meaningful is you get to build that one-on-one relationship with your readers. There's nobody in between you. There's no publicists. There's no editors. There's no, marketing team. You get a chance to talk to your readers, find out firsthand what they liked about your book, what they didn't, and make it improve the next time out. Best of all, ta-dam, you have the chance to make a lot more money. That's pretty evident. There's a lot of websites talking about that, but it's true. Your share of the pie is much larger when you go self-publishing. And I'm sure a lot of the panelists here and speakers will speak to that. But I find some more, less obvious advantages of self-publishing and really help me personally to kind of really get involved with this. This is how niche books get published. You think about in the theaters, you see these blockbusters. All they want to do is remake DC comics and things like that. They don't want to take risks. Same thing with publishers. So you get a chance, if you want to do a book about left-handed people who own ducks, you go for it. You publish that book, by golly, you can do it. But self-publishing does get you in the game. You are really a published author, and you get noticed by people. You get noticed by traditional publishers if you're doing well, if you have a following, And it's really how you learn about this publishing process. Now, we're going to talk a lot about it this weekend, but until you live it, breathe it, sweat it, cry it, you really won't know it. And the next time you do it, you'll be smarter and wiser, and it'll go better. But I think this is really the key point. You can stop asking for permission to publish. You don't have to have anybody's permission to say, I'm going to get my book on Amazon. You finally can stop waiting to be chosen. You get to choose yourself, and that's more important. Choice. Now this is an important part for the out-of-towners here. Before I go any farther, all the people in the orange t-shirts, the BookBaby shirts, most of them are native Philadelphians and New Jerseyites for many, many years. They're experts in the following topic, because when you're here, you've got to choose what cheesesteak you're going for. You're going to go Geno's, you're going to go Pat's. They could probably tell you some of the more, their favorites. Please go to them. Don't try to do this on your own. Really don't. All right, let's get back. So, back to our theme. You've come to the right place. Philadelphia is the home for an amazing array of authors. This is just a partial list. James Misher and Pearl S. Buck, out where I live in Bucks County, they were very popular there. That's where they did most of their work. But I'm going to point out a few more authors who I think had a real meaning, who really brought the spirit of self-publishing. Again, it's more than just books. It's beyond the actual physical thing. It's the spirit. It's the dedication. Let's start with old Ben. If you walk a few blocks from here, this statue is right outside of City Hall with his printing press. So we're going to give him the stamp of approval, the self-published author. So these next guys, I'm going to claim them too. Now they may not have, you may not think of them as just Philadelphians, but you know, they really embody again that spirit, starting with Mr. Poe. Now, Baltimore, those people, they claim him, even the pro team is named after his story. He did his very best work here. The Telltale Heart, The Fall of the House of Usher, he wrote that here in Philadelphia, so we're going to claim him. Mark Twain, okay, he was everywhere. But I don't know if you know this, he was a typesetter for our Philadelphia newspaper. So, you know what? I'm also going to give him the stamp. We claim him. It's ours. Now I need to bring you one final Philadelphia icon. His work, hard-hitting, stunning work. Who really delivered a knockout message? That is, of course, our very own Rocky Balboa from the South Streets of Philadelphia. Our self-published author. Again, think of the concept here. He wrote the script. Hollywood wanted to change it. He said, nope, I'm going to keep it the way I want it. Hollywood wanted to cast somebody else for this. Nope, I'm going to act in it. So, I mean, he gets my stamp. He's self-published. He believes in it. All right, now, here's trivia that you probably don't know. Who else was considered for the role of Rocky? Hollywood did not want Sylvester Stallone to be in that part. Anybody know? Marlon Brando? No. De Niro? No. Ready for this? Yep. Burt Reynolds. Smokey and Apollo Creed. And then this guy. Yes. Think of the broken noses Robert Redford would have had. Sad. All right. Anyway. It's true. All right, look, one more point about this conference. You really have come to the right place, and we have the numbers to prove it. In the bags you got yesterday or registered this morning, you got a copy of a white paper, the survey that BookBaby did. I think it's the largest survey ever done in publishing. We had responses from 8,000 aspiring or professional authors. A lot of questions, a lot of great information in there. But I want to highlight why it's important to you. We focused in on studying habits of authors who did really well and authors who were yet to do well, I'll say that. So the two groups were authors who earned more than $5,000 on their last book in the last 12 months versus authors who earned considerably less. So one of the questions we said, how do they learn about publishing? And this question was meant to say, what was one of the most important things that you did to really gain a great foothold in knowledge? I'm happy to say our most successful authors, 75% of them said conferences and retreats are where you learn, versus only 38% of our less successful. So congratulations, you're all going to be successful authors because you came to conferences, and especially this one. So now there's a ton of information in that, so I do recommend on your own time, please go through that. There were some quite illuminating ideas about marketing techniques and perspiration over inspiration. So now, you know what? This was actually, I had to change my slides last night. I don't know if I told you, you heard that last night. I was going to have a little skit about, I was afraid that authors are more loners and toiling in the back, But as last night's raucous meet-ins and cocktail party, or research, as we call it, I don't need to do that. So you folks are really taking advantage of this. And, the next 2 days, open your minds, scribble notes, compare notes with the other authors. All right, so finally, I know last night I said that we weren't going to make this a BookBaby commercial. We weren't going to lock the doors and have like an Amway convention. I'm going to hold up to that promise. But I will tell you a little bit about BookBaby in a different way. This thing to the right, don't note the grammar. Grammatarians, this is out. This is what we call our commander's intent. So if in doubt, the people working at BookBaby, they know what to do. Help every author publish successfully now. So if I'm not around, if I'm out looking for a cheesesteak, they know what to do. All right, and these are some of the folks who you're meeting today. And those placards are on a lot of the desks. Our plant is in South New Jersey. We print our own books. We do our own ebooks. It's all right here. And so we think people, in a digital world, the analog version of people we think is very important. BookBaby does a lot of things. I could go through this. We make beautiful books. We do great conversions. We have global distribution. I encourage you to stop in at the booth right between the two doors, learn more about it. Or, even better, speak with one of our publishing experts. Slots are mostly filled up for Sunday. I think we still have some on Saturday, but you know what? If we can't talk to you here, we're available to you on the phone 5 days a week, 9 to 5, real live people, not bots, people right here from the Philadelphia area, probably with a cheesesteak in their hand. All right. So, one last reason that you've come to the right place, and I'll tell you why. This is my favorite story about self-publishing, and especially about BookBaby. I want to introduce you to Carl Johan. He's our friend from a long time ago, Swedish psychologist who wrote a book about how to help kids go to sleep. And it was called The Rabbit Wants You to Fall Asleep. He did an ebook with us about, I think 2012. Just did an ebook. And then he called in about every week. Okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? People on the phones were saying, well, you can get it translated to other languages. Okay, I'll do that. Did that. Sales results still not there. Well, what about a print version? Okay, he did that. Sales were still just kind of mediocre. But he really believed in the project. We said, you could write another book. He said, no, I really believe in this. I'm going to persevere. So he said, well, how can I get the word out about it? And we thought, well, you're on Facebook? Yeah. Well, why don't you offer this on Facebook? So he did, and he advertised a bit. There weren't many Facebook ads then, but he really pushed it. 10,000 free downloads. 20,000 free downloads through us. 30,000 free downloads. Until, and this is years, and he kept calling us. He always believed. Until it came into the hands of an editor from the Guardian newspaper in the UK. He had an unruly child. He tried the book. Finally, the kid went to sleep. So what did he do? He wrote about it. And it got picked up in 300 other newspapers around the world. We in marketing love to use this slide about the hockey stick, saying at some point there will be a magic happens. Well, it happened for him. Oh, sorry, our Philadelphia Flyers can't get out of Philadelphia. Well, the magic happened for Carl Johan because suddenly it got picked up around the world. People were buying his ebooks. People were buying his printed books, and we were sending him 6-digit checks. He was the first self-published author who hit both the New York Times and Amazon #1 slot in the same week of August 2015. And yes, and so there he is, and he signed with a major publisher for a 7-figure advance, and he lived happily ever after. Oh. I'm sorry, I have late breaking news. Carl Johan is coming back to BookBaby for his next series of books because he knew this was the right place to come. All right. So, my advice for you for this conference is obviously you know how to talk amongst yourselves. Holy cow! But these speakers have a lot to say. I think you'll really enjoy it. And again, when you choose your cheesesteak, choose wisely, wit without onions. Don't ask for lettuce. That's what I got. Thank you very much.